Hi, I'm Greg from ValetPRO. I started the company around about 2004. We started from the garden shed, and ValetPRO's now at the stage where we've got 12,500 square feet. We employ 20 people. We're going from strength to strength. We're developing our own products in-house. We've got an awful lot to offer for the future, and I think next year you're going to start seeing some really exciting things come from the ValetPRO offering. ValetPRO had been going for about 5 years at the point that we decided to start making products in-house. The problem that we found was things like waxes, dressings, those sort of types of products were very difficult to get good quality, and the companies out there that make that type of product for you, if you're an independent, tend to be constrained by the price that you want to buy by. So when you start making a product in-house, you've got that ability to, instead of choosing a cheaper raw material, you can go for something more expensive that gives you a better result. So it just raises that standard. And the success comes from the fact that I've always wanted to make products that I've wanted to use. So, and it really started with things like blue gel wheel cleaner, which is, I suppose that the time when ValetPRO started and to go on this road of being successful, that we started to think about what we wanted that wasn't available. So blue gel wheel cleaner is actually a product that we're going to be discontinuing soon, but at the time acid wheel cleaners would tend to be liquid based, so when you sprayed it on, it created this massive vapor in the air, and you'd inhale that vapor, which is unpleasant. It turns your lungs inside out, obviously has health implications, etc. So we created a formulation that was gel based, so when you sprayed it on the wheels, that vapor was contained, it stuck to the wheel longer, which gave you better cleaning power. It gave you longer working time, because some of the other issues you had with acid based wheel cleaners is that when they're on the surface of the wheel, they start to dry out from the top, and that's when you start seeing the effect of corrosion or discoloration of the surface. And that kind of gel philosophy, or the user experience of the product, we've kind of spread into other products like our tar and glue remover. We made it citrus based, so it smelt nicer in use. Dragon's Breath is another example of us using a gel based formulation to help increase the contact time of your cleaning product. And of course we've been really good and really successful with our pH neutral formulations that give you great cleaning power but don't impact the vehicle that you're cleaning. So I guess the long and short of what I'm trying to say is that the success is about thinking about the application. So it's not just about a chemist making a product. We profile our products first, describe what we want, before we start to just say we want a wheel cleaner. We describe that wheel cleaner down to that very last detail before we start that development work. Yeah, we do have new products in the pipeline. Dragon's Breath is going to get an update. We are looking to produce a new pH neutral wheel cleaner as a maintenance cleaner, so you'd use Dragon's Breath for your deep cleans. but you'd have a pH neutral that would be lower cost for just getting general grime off and that general tidy up. At the moment, our customers would use a combination of, bilberry wheel cleaner and dragon's breath. But for those customers that have polished rims, that sort of thing, bilberry wheel cleaner is not suitable for that type of application. And you might be using a snow foam or something like that for that type of cleaning. So we wanted to create something that was more dedicated to that. The other things that we've got coming out is a gel-based tyre dressing, which is high gloss. It stays put on the tyre, and it lasts for a couple of weeks. And we're trying to all the time increase the durability of these sort of products. We've got a microfiber wash that we've finished in development. What else we got? We're working on a range of quick detailers as well. I'm not quite sure where we are with those. Okay, Citrus Bling, BL Advanced Neutral Snow Foam, and I personally like this product. It doesn't sell very well, I do confess, but I really like this product because I'm not a fan of glossy tyres, and never have been. I like a tyre to look, I like it to have a bit of a lift from a clean finish, but I don't want it too glossy, and I think our classic tyre dressing does it better than any other dressing out there. And I also think it's really important when you have a tyre dressing is that you have a finish that doesn't end up on the paintwork as well. I think we've successfully done that with our new tyre gloss that we've produced, that tyre gel based product that I was telling you about earlier. But if you're not into a high gloss finish, then the classic tyre dressing is a good product. And using products like that, it just keeps your tyre cleaner for longer as well. So when you do use a pressure washer, you'll see that the dirt will just generally just fall off without having to scrub it down with cleaners, etc. Citrus Bling, I just think is one of those products you need, because you can clean your door shuts. You've rinsed off your pressure washers, and you've rinsed off your wheels, and you then get perhaps a dribble of cleaner that comes down that you haven't quite got off, or some of the brake dust behind starts flowing down. So you just give it a spritz with Citrus Bling, wipe it up, and you've got a glossy wheel. It's protected, with a nice sacrificial finish, and it just finishes things off. As a quick detailer, it's good as well. We are going to make some, Citrus Bling we've sold as something that does everything. So your clay lube, your quick detailer, your fast wax, your spot cleaning on a car, and it does it all really well. But what we want to do now is we want to, in addition to Citrus Bling, we want to make a dedicated fast wax. And sometimes when you focus on making a product just for one job, you can just raise that bar and make a much better product, because you're not considering whether it can pick a bit of grime up without scratching, because you've got a clean car with a fast wax. So you just want to have a gloss, you want to have a bit of durability, you want to see a lot of water beading, that sort of thing, so you can be a lot more focused on what you're trying to achieve. And I think the marketplace actually wants that from us as well. Well, Purple Passion is, if you like, at the mildest end at an all-in-one product. So you've got carnauba emulsion in there, We've got some silicone wetters in there at quite a small percentage, but we don't use silicone fluids within the formulation. We're using a white oil, which lubricates the spread of the product, and there's some very fine abrasives in there as well. So if you've got French paint or Japanese paint, where you tend to have much softer paint, you can remove that light marring from there. On a German car, it won't remove the marring because German paint is much harder. What it will do is that the abrasives will clean the that marring on the paint surface in the lower level, so it makes them less visible, so they get hidden when you apply a wax to it. Now, wax is a natural filler for these sorts of things, so effectively what we've created is a product that's there to, you know, after you've polished your car, or if you've clayed a car, you just want to just finesse that paint surface over and give it a really deep clean without you removing a heavy amount of paint. Apply it by hand with a white applicator, but for the best effect you want to use a dual action polisher, especially if you want to cut into French or Japanese paint to remove marring, and that becomes quite important. But it's a prep product that you'd use prior to waxing, and that will give your wax a much bigger lift. It will hide more imperfections on the harder paints. The softer paints, it will remove some of the imperfections. It just won't remove deep scratches. You know, we like to try and make products that anyone can use, and the dual action polishers have been a phenomenal tool for leveling the playing field between a professional detailer and a hobbyist, because, you know, you can use your compounds on there without worrying about burning your paintwork or knocking a badge off your car, or you know, burning the edge of your bonnet or whatever. So it's dual action polishers are great, and we're working on finding the right abrasives to go into our polishes and the right lubrications to use to make a number of polishes and compounds that will work really well with dual action polishers, because I think it's really important that, you know, that you don't specifically make something for a rotary. You need that flow to work with a dual action polisher to make it open to everyone. Dragon's Breath is what people would regard as a fallout remover, so it targets iron contamination or iron deposit, which is why you can use it on the exterior of your paintwork as well as wheels, and it's incredibly effective. But it's also a pH neutral formulation, so you've got a lot of heavy detergents in there, but you've also got this product in there, the active product in there that reacts with iron. That reaction makes it become water soluble, so you can just rinse it off with water. So one of the things that would be different, say, from a traditional wheel cleaner, a traditional wheel cleaner is either going to be an acid-based product, or it's going to be an alkaline cleaner. Now, there are pros and cons for each of those types of chemicals to be used on your wheels, but you know, acids you only ever want to use once. You don't want to use them on a regular basis. Alkaline cleaners you can get away with frequent use, but fundamentally they don't target any one thing. They target everything that's on there. Alkaline cleaners tend to be really good with general grime as well as the baked on brake dust, but they need a lot of agitation to make them work well. Whereas something like Dragon's Breath, because of the types of detergents that we use in there, we make a gel-based product, so it clings and stays in contact for longer. It just needs time to break down that iron contamination, but it also penetrates that general road grime that you've got on there, which is one of the reasons that, you know, when you use Dragon's Breath, you spray it on the wheels, and when you jet it off, it's like you don't have to touch it with a brush. Now, the reality is, when you actually start examining your wheels properly, you might notice a few deposits of iron contamination, and that might require a bit of agitation to remove. But yeah, it's just a phenomenal product, which is why it goes so well. Dragon's Breath is our second best-selling product. pH neutral snow foam's our best-selling product by far. So the benefits really to the car owner is that it's not going to attack your chromed trim. So a lot of cars have these, I'm not even sure it's chrome anymore actually, so you've got these Audis, haven't you, with that chrome trim, and it feels plasticky, but you've got this kind of I suppose foiled chrome finish. So things like that become, because they've got metal, they become quite reactive to things like alkaline cleaners, and you wouldn't have acid cleaners on the outside of the car, but alkaline cleaners can get used. But you're really looking at high pH alkaline cleaners that are going to cause you problems. So a pH neutral product is really something at pH 7, you know, but when you're formulating something as well, or you're mixing something, that you know, sometimes it will float, you know, to about pH 7.5 or something like that. So you know, and this can be because there's variation between your ingredients as well. pH neutral is not going to, because a pH to remove a wax or a ceramic, it needs to be able to emulsify that product. So that's generally what an alkaline cleaner will do. It emulsify it, which means that it makes it become water soluble. So a pH neutral product won't do that, but it can still target things like that grime that's attached to the surface, which is what that aim is. So it penetrates it, it leaves a lubricated detergent finish, so when you rinse it off with your pressure washer, it falls off the paint surface. It's the UK's round about 30% of our business. So the rest of our business, 70% of it's export. I'd say probably 60% is into Europe, and the UK is our biggest customer at the moment. But Germany's biting on our heels, so I suspect next year Germany will be bigger than the UK, but you know, there's a lot more for us to do, because we're not quite a household brand yet. It's always been on a focus. We're just starting to develop our business strategy for doing that and achieving that. One of the things that you have to consider when you go into a new country is you've got to understand that every country has a different set of laws around chemicals. So it's very expensive going into a new country. So across Europe, you have to register your products with all the poison centres. So should someone drink your product, they can phone up the GP or whatever, and they will have the database of our product, the details of our product on a database where they can, you know, see whether there's going to be any potential issues from what they've done. Now, I mean, that's just one example of why, you know, you have to, but it's about compliance really, making sure you're meeting local standards. And America's very different from any of these countries because you've got different laws in each state. So one of the things that we have to do to get into America is we need to invest in that compliance work, make sure that we've got our labelling correct, make sure that we've got our material safety data sheets that follow their laws and regulations, and that we understand the difference between the states as well, because it won't be one MSDS for each state. It's the same with the European Union, that you know, ideally you had one rule for all of Europe, but it doesn't quite work like that. You know, the Scandinavian countries have different codes and regulations for different things, and different labelling requirements. Sometimes they've got, you've got to have dual languages on them. Some countries are a bit different about the types of fastenings that you have as well, CRC lids, that sort of thing. Yeah, I guess this is a personal thing for me. I'm a huge fan of Lotus cars, which is one of the reasons that, you know, we work with Lotus Driving Academy and Lotus Europe Cup. But you know, I don't go racing myself. I tend to watch. I'd love to go racing myself, but maybe that will happen someday. Yeah, so and one of the other things that we've done this year is that we've got to the VIP suites at Brands Hatch, and we rent them out. Sometimes we, you know, one of the aims is next year is that, you know, we invite some of our retailers to join us at some of the races, etc. So we've got 2 suites right at the end by Paddock's Bend. We've got one right on the corner, and we went to see the Superbikes this year, which is always great fun. I'm going to the DTM this weekend with our German distributor, so I'm really looking forward to that. But you know, we also work with, you know, through that hospitality business, we've got other people that sort of get involved with us as well. So you know, we get to talk to, you know, people like Gary Parfit, and who races in the DTM as well, and Mark Blundell, who's an ex-Formula 1 driver. So you know, it's a nice way for us to get involved with people within the race circuits, and you know, it would be really nice for us to one day be the go-to brand for all the racing car teams, but you know, there's quite a long slog to make that happen, but we'll give it a go.